Close your eyes. Let the weight of the world dissolve. Let the ticking clock at your bedside fade, as if it too forgets how to count. Imagine a silence that is not just quiet, but absolute. No wind, no heartbeats. No rustling leaves or distant hums. Now take one step deeper. Imagine a silence where even time itself has not yet begun. There is no past to remember. It's no future to expect. Only an endless stillness that does not move and has never moved. This is where your journey begins, at the edge of nothing. You drift in the absence of stars. In a darkness that isn't dark because it has nothing to compare itself to. There is no light, but there is no shadow either. There are no things, not even space, not even time. Just a state so simple and complete in its absence that it escapes all words. We call it nothing. But even that is too full time, as you understand. It is change, the difference between then and now. But in this stillness, there is no then. There is only a soft, endless now that does not pass. A frozen lake of being, unmoved and unmeasured. You float above it or within it. It is not clear which, because space has not yet unwrapped itself into dimensions. There is no up or down, no near or far, no left to turn, and no right to retreat. And yet, something stirs, not movement. Not yet, but the whisper of potential. Like a breath that has not yet been taken, your mind searches for something to hold. But there is no edge to grip. The silence is not lonely, for there is no one to be alone. It is not peaceful, for peace requires contrast. It simply is. Let this simplicity cradle you. Let it remind you of a dream so deep that even dreaming has not begun. A dream before memory, before sensation, before identity. The pure, uninterrupted pause before the first note of a symphony. Not the music, not the composer, only the waiting. This is not the universe. Not yet. There are no atoms, no quarks, no energy fields humming in the background. Not even a void, for a void presumes a space to be empty. Here, even emptiness is unborn. Science calls this the singularity. But not because it is a thing, rather because it is the point beyond which our understanding breaks. A boundary where reason fades and only wonder remains. So you wonder, could time begin? Could space stretch? Could something come from this? And quietly, the silence does not answer, but it allows the question to echo. Your body rests in the imagined hush of pre-creation. It is a place no one can reach, not even the instruments of physics, because instruments need time to function. And there is no time here. So we imagine softly. We imagine a universe curled tighter than a whisper. A state where all things, every star, every galaxy, every future heartbeat, are compressed into something beyond size. No distance between anything. No distance within anything. Just unity, not in form, but in potential. In this vision, even that potential is still asleep. Perhaps it has always been this way. Perhaps it never was. Perhaps was is the wrong word altogether. But something begins to change, not a flash. Not a bang, not a burst, but the tiniest break in the stillness. A shimmer. A question within the nothing. And with that question, a seed of time stirs. It is not yet ticking, not yet moving. But it becomes possible for things to change. Like the moment a dream becomes aware of itself, a flicker of becoming, a gentle swell of unfolding. Even here, you are safe. Even here, in this strange pre-beginning, you are held by the rhythm of unformed things. This is the space before the canvas is stretched, before color is invented, before motion exists to carry sound. And yet, it feels like something beautiful is about to begin. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts spread like mist over a silent sea. There is nothing to solve here. No logic to untangle. Only the soft hum of curiosity moving through the absence of all things. And still, the silence holds. You lean into it. There is a grace in not knowing, a comfort in recognizing the limits of understanding. This is not ignorance. It is reverence. The same reverence felt by physicists gazing into equations that trail off into the unknown. The same awe felt when staring into a night sky so deep that your breath forgets to move. The same stillness found in a moment of deep meditation, when the mind empties and all that remains is presence. Perhaps that is what this place is: pure presence. Without form, it is neither light nor dark, neither something nor its opposite. It is what exists before existence has a shape, not a void, not a place, not a thing. Only possibility, waiting to exhale. And in that pause, everything is held. Every future star, every living thought. Every unfolding moment of time, but not yet. For now, you float here inside the soft silence that came before time. You do not need to move. You do not need to understand. You are simply here. And even as you rest, the first stirrings of time begin to whisper quietly like ripples that have not yet touched the surface. What does it mean for time to begin? And if time begins, does that mean nothing is ever truly gone? Somewhere deep within this timeless hush, the idea of nothing begins to take shape. But is nothing really empty? Or have we misunderstood its nature all along? Asterisk, you open your eyes into darkness. But it's not frightening. This darkness is soft. It wraps you like quiet fabric, smooth and warm, without weight. And here, in the hush left behind by the silence before time, a new thought rises. A question, gentle and glowing like a candle in deep night. What is nothing, really? It seems simple. At first, nothing is. Well, nothing. No thing. No objects, no atoms, no air, no light. An empty cup, a blank page. A quiet room where no one speaks, but your mind tilts toward curiosity. And suddenly the word begins to tremble, because even an empty cup holds air. Even a blank page has fibers, ink just waiting to be written. And silence, true silence, is hard to find. It's always the pulse in your ears, the whisper of your breath, the faint hum of your mind wandering. So again, you ask, more slowly this time, what is nothing really? You drift now through imagined space, a region far, beyond stars, between galaxies, where it seems no sound has ever stirred. This is intergalactic space, the loneliest desert in the cosmos. Surely here, nothingness must reign. Surely this must be true emptiness. But no, even here, there are particles, tiny ones. Photons that left ancient stars millions of years ago. Invisible clouds of hydrogen atoms, flickers of radiation, and the ever-present hum of something called the cosmic microwave background, a gentle afterglow from the universe's birth, still shimmering across space. So even in the vastest nowhere, something persists. And this is where science begins to reshape your understanding, because what we used to think of as empty, a vacuum, a void, is far from empty at all. You begin to imagine a perfect vacuum, the kind studied in physics, a space from which all particles have been removed. And even then, something dances, not particles, not in the usual sense, but fluctuations. Tiny waves of energy rising and falling without cause. Virtual particles that flash into being and vanish again, like fireflies that never settle. This is quantum nothing, a nothing that is never still, a field of pure potential, trembling with invisible possibility. It is like a violin string, always vibrating softly even when no hand touches it. In this view, nothing is not the absence of everything. It is the fertile silence from which things can emerge. Canvas not blank but ready, you float over. That canvas now. Imagine dipping your hand into empty space. You would feel nothing, and yet you'd disturb something. You'd ripple unseen fields, the same fields responsible for every particle in the universe. Your body is made of matter. And matter is not separate from the vacuum. It condenses. Out of it, think of water droplets forming from moist air, or frost appearing from vapor when the temperature changes. In much the same way, particles, electrons, protons, quarks emerge from invisible fields that fill all of space. So what you call nothing may be more like a sleeping field. It's a surface smooth to the eye but deep with motion underneath. In quantum theory, this empty space is never fully quiet, right? And in the physics of creation, the beginning of the universe, it may be that this vacuum, this trembling nothingness, gave rise to everything. You float now inside that idea. You are not in a void, not in a void. You are in a sea of uncertainty, tiny movements flickering just out of reach. Can nothing hold memory? Can nothing hum with energy? Perhaps nothing is, not a blank, but a hidden rhythm. Let that rhythm carry you for a while like waves on a beach that you cannot see, only sense. They lap softly at the edges of what is real. In ancient philosophy, nothing was a paradox. How can you speak of it if it doesn't exist? To name it is to give it shape. To imagine it is to fill it. And yet here you are, cradled by it, thinking of it, listening to its hum. You're not alone in this wonder. Physicists, too, have looked into the vacuum and asked, can something come from nothing? And the answer, softly, might be yes. Not a trick, not magic, but a feature of the laws of reality. Energy may rise spontaneously, like a bubble in water. Space may curve itself into form. The rules that shape particles and time may emerge, not from stuff, but from structure, from balance, from symmetry, and all of that. Every ripple, every emergence may begin in what once seemed like nothing, so now you see it differently. Nothing is not the end of something, it is the beginning. It's a foundation, the unspoken possibility beneath every spoken word. You lie in this stillness now, breathing slowly, letting that thought settle into you. What you feared as emptiness is rich. What you thought was void is song just before the note. When you stare at a blank sky, you do not see emptiness. You see the space where stars will live, where galaxies will spin, where your own thoughts, drifting in silence, will find their way to meaning. And perhaps, even in your quietest moments, you carry your own version of this. A space inside your mind where things pause, where thoughts dissolve into quiet. No judgment lives, no labels stick. A kind of personal vacuum. You're nothing. You're peaceful, humming field of potential, and from that quiet place, ideas are born. Emotions unfold. Memories rise. Love and loss and laughter emerge. Perhaps nothing, as it turns out, is where everything finds the courage to begin. You rest now with that knowing, still, curious, held, and in the hush between those invisible ripples, you begin to sense something more, a strange, quiet music beneath the silence, a vacuum that hums with life yet unborn. Asterisk, there is a kind of silence that sings, not with sound but with tension, with presence, with possibility. You return now to the space you thought was empty, dark, still, infinite. And yet, it breathes, not like lungs, not like waves, not like wind, but in tiny flickers, invisible twitches, a kind of restless calm. You are floating through the quantum vacuum, a place once thought barren, but now known to shimmer with the faintest pulse of activity. You cannot hear it. You cannot touch it, but it hums with a quiet that never fully settles. This is not science fiction. This is science. In quantum physics, even the lowest energy state, the ground, the bottom, the baseline, is never flat. It is alive with uncertainty. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle says you can never know a particle's position and momentum both with perfect precision. And so, the vacuum ripples with a not knowing. Fluctuations flicker in and out of being particles, and antiparticles blink into existence, pair up, and disappear again. They are called virtual particles, but their influence is real. You float deeper into this hum. Imagine a sea, dark and infinite, but under its surface, bubbles rise and pop so fast, so tiny, you'd never see them, but you know they're there. That's the vacuum. A stage where ghostly performances happen in rapid succession, never resting. The vacuum is not an empty theater. It is the unseen rehearsal for all creation. You wonder, how can something come from nothing? And the vacuum replies not with words, but with rhythm. It shows you the flicker dot energy rises and falls. Forms bloom and vanish. Sometimes these fluctuations are momentary, just hints. Ghosts of being. But sometimes, in the right conditions, they leave an echo, a footprint, a change in the world that stays. This is not just theory. Physicists have observed it in a phenomenon called the Casimir effect. Two uncharged metal plates placed very close together in a vacuum will move toward each other. Why? Because the fluctuations of the vacuum are not uniform. Between the plates, fewer virtual particles can exist than outside. This imbalance creates pressure, a force. From nothing, even when stripped of all matter and light, space itself pushes. And what pushes? Hums. Let that settle in your chest like warmth. Even in the deepest silence, there is movement. Even where? Your eyes see nothing. There is presence. You drift farther still. And now, you sense the zero-point energy, the lowest possible energy a quantum system can have. Even at absolute zero, even when all motion should cease, the vacuum does not sleep. Its fields quiver. Like the surface of a lake shivering under moonlight, though no wind blows, the hum is faint, a whisper beneath whispers, but it's always there, the quiet song of space-time itself. Your body is still, a breath, slow. But around you, within you, beneath you, everything trembles softly. You begin to understand. The vacuum is not a background. It is not the emptiness between things. It is the thing that holds the universe together. It gives rise to mass, to charge, to the fabric of existence. Every field, electromagnetic, gravitational, nuclear, rests upon this vacuum. They are woven into it. They emerge from it. You are made of particles. And those particles are excitations. Tiny waves in invisible quantum fields. The electron, just a ripple in the electron field. The photon, a flutter in the electromagnetic field, and those fields are never turned off. They extend throughout all space. They touch you now, even as you lie still and quiet, eyes closed. Thoughts drifting. The vacuum hums through you. There is a kind of comfort in this. To know that even what seems most empty is rich with potential. Let yourself rest in that potential. You do not need to understand every equation. You only need to feel the rhythm. In that feeling lives a truth deeper than definition, that nothing is not a hollow. It is a fullness to find, to grasp. And that hum, that subtle music of the void, it may have been the first sound the cosmos ever made. Not a bang, not an explosion, but a deep unfolding note. A breath from the vacuum, shift in balance. A ripple that grew. Some physicists believe the universe began with a quantum fluctuation, a sudden, spontaneous curve in spatiation EV. From that tiniest of wiggles, space expanded. Energy surged, time stretched, matter emerged. You listen now with your whole self to the echo of that original hum. It lives in the vacuum. It lives in you. Even in your most silent moments, even in stillness. You are never apart from it. Your thoughts may pause, but the field beneath them remains. Your breath may slow, but the hum goes on. You are not floating through nothing. You are suspended in the breath of being. The vacuum does not sleep. It sings, not in sound, but in the quiet aliveness of all that could be. And as you drift into rest, let this idea rock you gently, that from the restless hum of the vacuum, entire worlds may rise. And if the vacuum hums with such quiet fullness, what happens when its stillness breaks? When something suddenly, impossibly is born. Asterisk, you are still floating gently in the hum. The vacuum around you pulses with invisible waves, the quiet rhythm of something unformed, a murmur just beneath reality, and then a ripple deepens, a fluctuation holds. The field trembles just a little more than usual, and for the first time, doesn't fade. It grows. You are drifting at the edge of a beginning. No drums, no thunder, no violence, just a bloom, a soft swelling, like breath drawn after a long pause. This is not an explosion. It is not a bang in space. It is the expansion of space itself, and it begins with the gentlest break in perfect balance. From the shimmering vacuum, a quantum fluctuation takes root. A tiny patch of space-time, smaller than an atom, begins to inflate. You might imagine a balloon filling with air, but this is stranger. This is inflation, not of something inside space, but of space itself expanding. Every point stretching, every distance growing. Not into anything, but making space as it goes. You float within. It now, time begins to count. Dimensions settle. Energy condenses. In an instant that defies imagination, the universe becomes a storm of possibility. From that tiny spark, heat floods outward, an unimaginable energy. Contained in a dot now rushing into existence. This is the moment we call the Big Bang, not the start of a fire, not a bomb, but the unfolding of everything. You are not outside of it. There is no outside. You are within the wave. Inside the becoming, time and space have awakened. And with them, light begins to rise. Asterisk, the first light is not visible. It is radiation, raw and wild, energy without form. The universe is a seething ocean of particles and heat. A fog of photons colliding endlessly. Nothing is solid. Everything is movement. Let this motion carry you. It is chaotic, yes, but it is not hostile. It is the dance of creation, the warmth of a world in its first breath. As space expands, the universe cools. Just enough. Just barely. Barely. And with that cooling comes the first simplicity, energy slowing, particles stabilizing, the first seeds of matter beginning to form. You drift through this young cosmos. There are no stars yet, no galaxies, just light and plasma and expansion. But within that light, a pattern, tiny fluctuations in temperature, in density, in energy, ripples frozen into the glow of the cosmos. Like fingerprints left by its own trembling birth, these ripples will become everything. The denser spots will gather, pulling more matter toward them. Gravity will begin to sculpt. And from that sculpting, stars, planets, oceans, thought. But not yet. For now, you are in a universe just minutes old. A furnace, but one that cools with purpose. At 3 minutes, something delicate happens. Protons and neutrons rushing through the heat begin to bind. Nuclei are formed. Hydrogen, helium, a few traces of lithium. No atoms yet, electrons still fly free. But the cores of atoms are born. The building blocks of all matter emerge from the storm. Pause here. Breathe. This is the birth of substance. From near nothing, something. From trembling potential structure. You are watching a symphony without instruments, a choreography without dancers. It is the rules of physics themselves performing. Why does it happen this way? Why do quantum fluctuations inflate? Why does energy condense? Why do protons love neutrons just enough to hold them? No one knows for certain. We can measure, we can map. We can calculate backwards to moments just after this beginning. But why this beginning and not another? That remains a question without an answer. Perhaps the laws of physics are not rules imposed from outside, but habits of the vacuum, natural patterns of how energy prefers to move. Perhaps its birth was inevitable, or perhaps it was chance, a bloom from the soil of possibility. Either way, it happened, and you are here, Floating in its afterglow, the young universe expands still. Like dough rising, like breath continuing to fill lungs. Soon it will cool enough for electrons to settle, for atoms to form, for light to travel freely. And when it does, that first light will still be visible billions of years later as the cosmic microwave background. You drift in it now, its ancient warmth curling around your senses. It is not loud. It is not bright, but it is everywhere. A soft, even whisper from the edge of time. And it says, I was there. I remember the beginning. This is the moment when nothing fully gives way to something, when silence becomes song. When stillness becomes the unfolding of time. You are still, but the universe is not. It moves. It breathes. It expands, and everything you know from atoms to stars to thoughts was once held in that tiny shimmer of vacuum that dared to unfold. Sleep in that knowing, rest in the truth that you are made of this unfolding. That you are not separate from the cosmos, but a continuation of its first breath. You are stardust, but you are also silence and hum, and the spark that became light. From almost nothing, everything, and now. You wonder as you drift deeper what other kinds of nothing might hold meaning. Is there a way to think about emptiness, not as absence, but as balance? Not as void, but as symmetry. Not zero as lack, but as perfection. Let us drift now into the idea of zero, not as emptiness, but as balance drawn in silence. A number that is not hollow, but whole. Asterisk, close your eyes. You are drifting now, not through space or time, through meaning. A different kind of nothing awaits you. Not the silence before time, not the vacuum of quantum hum, but a symbol. Single circle. Zero. A quiet shape, complete without start or end. A whole, yes, but also a whole. Float there. Let your breath match its rhythm. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. That pause, that in-between, is where zero lives. You've seen it everywhere, on clocks, on pages, on screens. A placeholder, a cipher. But it is more than silence. Zero is a decision to mark nothing, to acknowledge it. In early civilizations, there was no symbol for nothing. What isn't there was simply not there. Why mark it? But time pressed forward. People counted, traded, wrote down tallies and weights and stars, and somewhere in ancient Babylon. Then again in Maya temples, and finally in India, people began to write the nothing. A dot, a shell, a circle. Zero was born. Not discovered, but invented. And yet, it behaves as if it has always been true. Because zero, you see, is not absence, it is balance. It is the line between opposites. Plus one, add them together. Zero, every up has a down. Every push, a pull. In physics, this symmetry is everywhere. For every particle, an antiparticle. For every force, a counterforce. In the equations of matter and motion, zero is the anchor, the mirror, the quiet middle where all things meet. You drift in that center now, not pulled, not pushed, just still. In math, zero is the point of origin, the center of a graph, the place where nothing has happened yet. And from that point, the universe stretches out. Coordinates grow, lines are drawn. But always they measure from zero. It is the heart. The axis. Asterisk, the quiet from which everything moves. But it's more than that. Zero lets us count. Without it, we would never say 10. There would be no place to hold its shape. Think of the number 100. Without zero, it's just one and one and one. But with zero, there's scale, structure. Order. Zero is what lets numbers breathe. You see it in computers. Binary, ones and zeros. Every image, every word, every song reduced to presence and absence. But zero is not merely absence. It's potential, the waiting before the note. The silence that gives the song its shape. Without zero, one is just one. With it, we can build infinity. You drift deeper now. Let your thoughts soften into physics. Imagine space again, flat and cold. You might think of it as empty. But in physics, space is never truly empty. Even in a vacuum, particles flicker in and out of being. For every energy, a cancellation. For every surge, a sync. The net balance. Sometimes eerily close to zero. Some theories even suggest the universe itself has a total energy of zero. Matter exists. Yes, but gravity pulls back. Motion expands. But curvature contracts. Creation and collapse held in balance. What if the entire cosmos is a ripple of zero momentarily unbalanced, seeking to return? That idea isn't proven, but it sings to the quiet truth of the number. Zero is not nothing. It is a kind of everything. In perfect opposition, not emptiness, but equilibrium. And in nature, balance is sacred. Your body breathes in oxygen, breathes out carbon. Your heart beats in rhythms of tension and release. You wake, you sleep, you hunger, you fill. Life is not built on excess, but on return. Zero isn't a failure, it's a reset. The pause between questions, the breath between thoughts. And in the deepest sleep, you return to something like zero. No striving, no story, only rest. So tonight, asterisk, as you close your eyes more fully, drifting into the hush between thoughts, let yourself return to zero. Let your heartbeat find the middle. Let your thoughts dissolve into the circle. You are not lost. You are centered, because zero holds you quietly, not pushing, not pulling, just gently reminding. Even nothing is something when seen with eyes that wonder. Now let us drift to the edge again, where energy meets its mirror, where matter learns to vanish, to the strange frontier where something becomes nothing once more. Next, the laws that make particles appear and disappear, and why the vacuum is never truly still. Asterisk, you are floating again, but now you're farther from everything, no planet beneath. Your feet, no breeze, no hum of air or breath. No stars close enough to warm you. No light but the faint glow of distant galaxies, scattered like grains of salt across the black dot. This you think is emptiness. A vacuum, no particles, no atoms, no sound, just stillness. But wait, listen more carefully, look more closely. You are not truly alone, asterisk, even here. Even in this near-perfect silence, the vacuum is not a void. It seethes, not loudly, not with noise, but with possibility, all. Around you, the fabric of space flickers. Tiny particles appear and vanish. They have no weight, no story. They blink in and out before you can name them. These are virtual particles, ghosts of the quantum world. They do not last long enough to be measured directly, but their fingerprints are everywhere. A pair may emerge, briefly borrow energy from the vacuum, dance for a trillionth of a second, and then disappear. To you, it may seem like nothing, but to the laws of physics, even this is something. This foam asterisk, this jitter at the bottom of reality, is not a flaw. It is how reality works. This is the quantum vacuum, the lowest possible energy state of space. Not flat, not blank. It's restless, like a lake that looks still from above, but underneath eddies swirl and drift. It is not truly empty. It is alive. Now. Drift deeper. Let your thoughts float into the roots of quantum physics. In the early 20th century, scientists discovered that at the smallest scales, nothing behaves the way you'd expect. Particles are also waves. Positions are never certain, and fields, invisible, mysterious fields, stretch across all of space. The vacuum, it turns out, is filled with these fields, one for each particle: an electron field, a quark field, even a Higgs field. And in these fields, energy never reaches absolute zero. There's always a ripple, a tremor, a possibility. You feel it now, like a whisper beneath your thoughts, that hum. That's the vacuum energy. It is not loud, but it is everywhere. It affects how particles behave. It bends light. It shapes the fate of galaxies. In fact, this vacuum energy might even explain one of the universe's greatest mysteries, why the cosmos is expanding and speeding up. Scientists call it dark energy, and they don't fully understand it, but some believe it may be the energy of the vacuum itself. The pressure of nothing pushing everything apart. Can you imagine that? A universe driven by the energy of emptiness. You breathe slowly, deeply. Let that sink in. Emptiness isn't truly empty. Now let's go even further, near a black hole. This vacuum foam behaves strangely. The edge of a black hole, the event horizon marks, the point of no return. Anything that crosses it disappears forever. But something peculiar happens just outside this border. If a pair of virtual particles peers here, one might fall into the black hole, while the other escapes. The one that escapes becomes real. It carries energy away. Bit by bit, the black hole loses mass. This is called Hawking radiation, named after physicist Stephen Hawking. And it suggests something remarkable. Black holes might not last forever. They may evaporate, fading over trillions of years, till only their whisper remains. All because the vacuum was never truly still, even at the edge of darkness. Nothing gives birth to something. So you see, the vacuum isn't a void. It is the stage where physics plays, the field in which the universe unfolds, the canvas on which stars and particles and black holes draw their lines even when all is stripped away. Matter, light, sound, time, the vacuum remains. Humming, flickering, alive with potential. Let that comfort you, even in your loneliest, quietest moments when your thoughts feel like an empty room. You are never truly without. There is always something, a ripple of potential, a silent energy within. Just as space never fully rests, your own mind is never truly blank. Even sleep, even dreams begin in this vacuum. Ideas appear, memories rise, then dissolve, in and out, like virtual thoughts, restless, gentle. Now let go of needing this space to be silent. Let it shimmer. Let it dance. The vacuum isn't waiting. It is always becoming, and so are you. As the vacuum breathes beneath you, a question begins to rise. If the quietest emptiness is still something, could there ever have been true nothingness at all? To explore this mystery, we must visit the realm before particles, before space. Time and law. Asterisk float now into the before stars, before atoms, before the vacuum shimmered with flickers of light. Go deeper still, past particles and patterns, past motion and measure, into the most sacred silence the universe has ever known. A silence so complete, even the laws of nature are not yet born. Here, there's no gravity, no speed of light, no time ticking forward, no space through which to drift. You are not in a place. You are not in a moment. You are in something else, a kind of before being. This is the realm of primordial uncertainty. And from this formless nothing, the rules you live by one day awaken. It's a strange thought, isn't it? That the laws of physics, those trusted equations and constants, those guiding truths that cradle the cosmos, may not be eternal. They may have emerged, formed like crystals from vapor, risen like ripples from a still pond. Born not from command, but from fluctuation, from chaos. Scientists now believe that even the laws themselves may be the result of deeper randomness, not rules handed down from beyond, but tendencies that stuck. Imagine this, a multiverse vast beyond comprehension, not of stars, but of rule sets, some with different forces, others where gravity repels instead of pulls, worlds where atoms never form, or where light has no speed. Most of these universes collapse instantly. Some never form at all. But this one finds balance. Its laws allow for stability. Its constants permit structure. Its equations lead eventually to galaxies, stars, oceans, and minds. To you at *2. Now you drift deeper into this idea that the universe might have tried out many blueprints, and only this one worked well enough. To last, it's called the anthropic principle. Not that the universe was made for you, but that you find yourself in a universe where life is possible because it's the only kind, where anyone could ask these questions at all. You breathe in, you breathe out. The air around you, if it exists, is calm. Let your thoughts settle on gravity. So familiar, so quiet. An apple falls, a planet orbits. But why does gravity behave the way it does? Why does gravity behave the way it does? Why does it follow an inverse? Square law, getting weaker with distance. Why does it bend space and time instead of acting like a force? These aren't answers we fully hold. We accept gravity's behavior, but we do not know its source. And more importantly, why does it exist? At all. Why any law? Why not chaos forever? Now turn your mind to the constants. The speed of light, 299,792,458 meters per second. Why that number? Why not slower, or faster, or infinitely quick? The charge of an electron, strength of the strong force, the mass of a proton. Each has a value. Precise, delicate, change them slightly, and stars cannot form, or atoms decay in moments, or the universe collapses before it begins. This precision is breathtaking, too perfect. Some say to be random, but maybe, just maybe, this is the one universe where the dice rolled. It's just right. Or maybe those constants are not fixed at all. Some theories suggest they evolve. That what we call laws might be like habits, deep grooves worn by repetition, perhaps. In the earliest moments, universe was wild, unformed, a place of shifting behaviors. And as time passed, certain patterns became more stable, like ice crystallizing from cooling water. Laws emerged from lawlessness, space began to stretch. Time began to tick. Energy could not be created nor destroyed. The fog cleared and structure held, you see? The laws of physics might not be imposed from the outside. They might be emergent, born with the universe, changing with it, maturing like a living thing. Does that make you uneasy? It shouldn't. Asterisk, it means the universe is not a machine, but a growing story. Not a fixed script, but an unfolding poem. You, then, are not a passive reader. You are a verse in the song, a rhythm in the field, your mind, your breath, your sleep. They all obey these laws, but they are also part of them. The gravity that holds you to your bed, the time that guides your dreams, the energy in your thoughts, all of it flows from the same origin. Not from somewhere, but from nothing, or rather from the becoming of everything. Let your thoughts rest on this tender mystery. The rules that cradle you may themselves be cradled in something deeper. Not another force, but a kind of possibility. And if laws can be born, can they also die? Some physicists believe the constants of nature may shift over billions of years. A slow drift, barely noticeable, but enough someday to change the universe's fate. Gravity may weaken. Protons may decay. The fabric of space may tear. And the laws we hold sacred may dissolve back into the chaos from which they came. But don't be afraid. This is not destruction. It is transformation. Everything changes. Even the rules, and yet, in this very moment, they hold. You are here. You are steady. You are resting within the arms of laws that are still singing. So breathe. Let your body relax. Let your mind soften. The laws may have come later, but they are here now, cradling you like starlight, carrying you toward sleep. As the last echoes of chaos fade, you are left with a quiet certainty. Not even the laws were first, which raises the deepest question of all. Asterisk, time has always held you. It rocks you to sleep, wakes you in the morning, marks the aging of your cells, the flicker of your thoughts, the rhythm of your breath. Time flows like a river, and you float downstream, one moment leading to the next, a current of causes and effects. But what happens when there is no river? Number. Before, no after. No flow. What happens when even time has not yet begun? Close your eyes to the ticking. Step outside the sequence. You are not traveling forward anymore. You are drifting into the impossible, a state without time. And here, language fails because all your words before, after, start, change, are tied to the very thing that no longer exists. Without time, you cannot measure, you cannot compare. You cannot say what came first. You cannot even say there was a moment when time didn't exist. Because moment itself is a time word. This is not nothing. This is less than nothing. This is timelessness, and yet, asterisk from this stillness, something stirs. Physicists believe that time, like space, may not be fundamental. It may be a property that emerges, like temperature from motion or wetness from water. It may not be the stage, but the illusion, a pattern, that arises only when enough things are interacting in the earliest universe. If such a phrase makes sense, there may have been no events, no particles, no distinctions. Without change, there is no time. Without contrast, no clock dot, just an eternal now. Or perhaps not even that. Let your mind grow soft here. You are stepping beyond the cliff edge of comprehension. Picture this, the very beginning, not as a flash or explosion, but as a symmetry, perfect, unbroken, still, broken still. Everything exists in a single state, or rather in no state at all. All possibilities blurred together. No separation. No dimension. No direction, dot, and then symmetry breaks. It doesn't take a force, doesn't require an outside nudge. It just happens the way still water suddenly ripples, the way ice suddenly cracks, a quantum fluctuation, a tiny imbalance in the smooth nothing. One part expands, another contracts, a spark of asymmetry, a preference, and suddenly you can tell before from after. Time begins from symmetry to sequence, from eternity to heartbeat. And just like that, the first cause exists. The arrow of time awakens a direction. A drift. Entropy is born, the tendency for things to go from order to disorder. The reason you remember the past but not the future. The reason smoke rises, but never gathers back into a flame. The reason you grow older, never younger. Time, you see, is not a thing you move through. It is the story told by increasing entropy. As the universe becomes more complex, more spread out, more random, your sense of flow emerges. But what existed before time? You may want to say nothing. How can there be before at all if time hasn't started? The truth is, the question may be meaningless. Not wrong, it's just misplaced. Like asking what's north of the North Pole, what's darker than black. The birth of time is not just the start of a timeline. It's the beginning of meaning itself. And yet, scientists keep reaching. Some theories speak of a timeless quantum realm, a sea of probabilities not yet collapsed. Into history, others propose a no-boundary universe where time is curved, looped back on itself like the surface of a sphere, and such models. The beginning is not a point, but a smooth horizon. No edge, no moment of ignition. Just a soft transition from timelessness to time. You feel it now, not as a fact, but as a feeling. The moment before moments. A hush so total, you can't even call it silence, because sound has no meaning without time. And yet this is where everything comes from. The laws, the space, the matter. Light. All of it waits, sleeping within the folds of timeless possibility. And somehow from this quiet time awakens. You too are part of that unfolding. Your breath is time. Your dreams are time. Your memories, your sleep, your thoughts, each is a ripple in the river you carry within you the entire history of time. Not as facts, but as rhythms. You age because time flows. You dream because time stretches. You remember because time leaves traces. But here in this chapter, You've stepped back to the cliff edge of the beginning, to the place where the very idea of place is unborn. It's not a void. It's not a room. It's not even a moment. It is the trembling silence just before the first note. It is the canvas before the brush touches. It is potential, stretched across the void, and now you return. Let the current of time carry you gently. Again, let your breath resume its rhythm. Let your heartbeat soften. You are not lost. You are not separate. You are stitched into time. And time is stitched into you. What came before time may be unknowable, but you are here now in the stream, in the warmth, in the unfolding. Let that be enough. You rest in time's gentle flow now. But another mystery beckons if time was born. What about space? Asterisk, you lie still, eyes closed, wrapped in the gentle hush of night all around you. Space above you, space. Within you, space, and yet have you ever truly touched it? Space feels like the absence of all things, the blank, the in-between, the nothing. But space is not nothing. It has shape, it has rules, it has tension, it stretches, it bends, sings. Tonight, you drift not through stars or planets, but through the emptiness between them, and here you find emptiness is not empty. Let your mind unfold in the beginning. If such a beginning can be spoken of, space was not laid out like a floor, waiting for matter to arrive. Space itself had to become. Physicists think that in the earliest instant there was no outside, no place for the universe to grow into. Instead, space expanded from within, inflating like a bubble, not pushing into something else, but creating the place as it went. Picture a balloon, not stretching into the air around it, but conjuring the very concept of volume with each breath. That is what you are floating in now, a self-made expanse. A breathing field, not flat, not rigid, but curved, like the surface of a wave, responding to what lives upon it. Mass bends it. Energy shapes it. Gravity is not a force, but the result of space itself warping around presence. And you, with your body of stardust, your quiet breath, your sleeping thoughts, you bend it too, ever so slightly. A ripple in the great sheet, you do not fall toward the earth. You fall along the curves space creates, like a marble rolling on a bent trampoline. This is what Einstein taught us. Space is not the backdrop. It is the actor, and it is always moving. Look deeper. Even in the quietest vacuum, particles wink into and out of being. Virtual pairs borrowed from the uncertainty of quantum law. The vacuum is alive, buzzing with possibility. A seething froth beneath the stillness. And so emptiness is not truly empty. It is a field, a rich canvas where everything can begin. The Higgs field, the quantum foam, dark energy humming beneath the silence. In this void, laws emerge, constants stabilize. Fields align, dimensions unfold, and the shape of space becomes knowable, though barely. Is it infinite? Closed like a loop, flat as far as we can see. We are still guessing, but this much is known. Space is expanding, not into anything, but into itself. Asterisk every second. Galaxies grow farther apart, not because they are moving, but because the space between them is stretching. The fabric of the cosmos elongates a slow-motion breath across eternity, and this stretching is not even dark energy. A force we do not yet understand accelerates the process. Not a push, not a wind, but an intrinsic property of space itself. So you float through this growing silence, each moment longer than the last, each distance deeper. And yet, as vast as space becomes, you carry it within you. The atoms of your body are mostly space. The electrons that orbit your nucleus are tiny dancers suspended in emptiness. If your atoms were scaled to stadiums, their cores would be grains of rice. You are made of emptiness, a delicate scaffolding of silence, and yet you are not nothing, because emptiness has form. It permits motion. It permits life. It allows light to travel. Sound. To vanish, thought to echo, you live in the space between neurons. You speak in the pauses between words. You rest in the stillness between heartbeats. Space is the stage, but also the rhythm, and it may have more layers than you know. Some scientists speak of extra dimensions folded up, curled tight, hidden in the gaps between what we see, 6, 7, maybe more, tiny, invisible rooms tucked inside every point. And if space has shape, then perhaps it has music too. The strings of string theory vibrate not in space, but of space. Tiny loops of energy, buzzing in complex patterns, giving rise to all particles and forces. In this view, you are not just in space, you are space. Condensed, curved, humming with the frequency of being. So when you lie still tonight, you are not drifting through a void. You are singing inside the structure of reality. Even silence has a shape and space that great. Dark emptiness is anything but. Blank. It is a cradle, a memory, a possibility. It holds galaxies, yes, but it also holds sleep and dreams. And peace. Let yourself fall now into the space behind your thoughts. Let go of the edges. Release the shapes. Become what holds all things and needs no thing. You are part of the shape of emptiness, and it is part of you. But even space has questions left unanswered. If it stretches endlessly, if it vibrates and breathes, what lies beyond its edges, or within its deepest folds? There is a hush here, deep and thick, as if the stars themselves are holding their breath. You have traveled far through voids, through beginnings, through thoughts that drift between atoms. Now you reach the darkness, not the absence of light, but something older, something fuller, something unseen. The cosmos is glowing. Galaxies spin, stars ignite, worlds form and break. But behind this visible dance, something else moves, something vast, something quiet. More than 95% of the universe is hidden from view. You see only the lanterns, not the hands holding them. And so tonight, you float into this great unknown, the invisible scaffolding that holds the stars in place. First comes dark matter. It does not shine. It does not glow. Does not interact with light in any way. You cannot touch it. You cannot see it, but you feel its pull. It tugs at galaxies, holds their spinning arms in balance. Without it, they would fly apart, scattering like sparks in wind. Astronomers first noticed something strange. Galaxies were rotating too fast. The stars at the edges moved as if something more, something massive was anchoring them. A hidden mass. An invisible glue. So they gave it a name. Dark matter. It weaves through the universe like lace through silk, forming a cosmic web on which galaxies hang like dewdrops. You can imagine it. Long silent filaments of gravity arching between clusters, forming the unseen skeleton of everything. And yet, we do not know what it is. It could be particles, WIMPs, axions, gravitinos, whispers of matter that barely brush the known. Or maybe it is something else, something more subtle, curvature of laws we don't yet understand. Still, though invisible, dark matter is felt. You feel it now, as you drift through its gentle fields, as if floating through a forest of shadows so delicate, so profound. It does not disturb the light, but gives it shape. Now, deeper. Beyond the dark matter, beyond even the woven threads, there is a deeper silence, a pressure that does not press, a force that repels. Dark energy. If dark matter holds things together, dark energy pushes them apart. It is the breath that stretches the universe, the quiet swell that causes expansion to accelerate. You'd think gravity should slow everything down, but the universe is speeding up, pulling away from itself as if longing for something farther. Why? No one knows, but the math says it's real. The light from distant galaxies confirms it. There is something in the vacuum, a hidden tension, an anti-gravity. It doesn't come from stars or planets or even matter. It comes from nothing, from the space between, and that space, The very fabric of what is seems to have energy inherent to its being, a kind of stillness that expands. You breathe in, slow and deep. Could this energy be everywhere, even inside you? Could it be that? The quietest thing in the universe is the most powerful. Dark energy makes up almost 70% of the cosmos. It does not shine. It does not gather. It simply is, and it grows. So the stars drift farther. The galaxies grow lonely. And in the far future, if nothing changes, the universe may expand beyond all reach, a slow dissolution into cold. Quiet lightlessness. And yet, Evan, that ending is not an end. It is a rhythm, a breath too vast to measure. And perhaps beginning to dot, because the darkness we cannot see may hold secrets beyond imagination. We once thought the night sky was just black. We once thought atoms were indivisible. We once thought nothing could come from nothing, but time and thought and wonder have peeled back those veils. So when you rest in the dark, you do not fall into absence. You fall into potential dark matter, dark energy, not fearful things, not monsters in the shadow, but arms, holding the universe gently, unseen, the invisible scaffolding that lets the stars burn bright, the quiet tension that makes your breath possible, the hush between thoughts and the strength behind the silence. So, let go now, let the darkness cradle you. Let the unknown be soft. Let not seeing be not scary. You are part of this mystery. Not just a viewer, but a ripple in the same ocean. And the ocean goes on forever. Not because it must, but because it can. Because nothing may be more generous than the dark closing lines end of narration. Now, let your mind dim. Let your heartbeat slow. Let the fabric of you stretch quietly into sleep. You have drifted through time, through void, through thought, and untouched from the silence before time, to the music of matter, to the darkness that holds it all. And still, you remain. Still, you are held. You are the dream the universe whispers into the stillness of its own becoming. Sleep now, child of light and shadow. The dark has you. The stars remember. Good night.